right, so welcome back to Coffee Cafe. So we are still continuing at the very bottom of our first journal here. And this is where we last left off. We already made our deposit for our electricity. Okay. So the next thing we have here is telephone services are also connected. Installation fees is to be included with the first month's bill. So what do we know about this transaction? Do we need to record this transaction?
No.
No, because in this case, you are already given this information that the services have been completed, but you're not going to be billed until you receive your first month's bill. Because in this case, oftentimes they usually make it convenient for you so you don't have to pay for the service right then and there, but they're going to include it in the first month's bill. After you've used their services for quite some time, they'll include the service fee right then and there. Okay? So in this case, we just have to pen for our bill for us to include the installation fee. Okay. All right. Next thing that we have here is we end up getting natural gas being connected. Another $100 deposit is required, and it's payable to NV Utilities. So in this case, right, we got gas going on to help us, with any heating in the building. And also, and if we do utilize anything that's in there in regards to turning on a gas grill or whatever it is, but in this case, we're making coffee, so everything's going to be electric. But in this case, it's just for heating purposes of heating up the building. So, in this case, what do we do here? If we need to be making another deposit for the natural gas payable to NV Utilities, invoice number 552. What do we need to do here?
Journal it and then cut the check.
Correct, right? In this case, same thing here. We're making another deposit to NV Utilities, but this time, this one is for natural gas. So, in this case, I can go ahead and take a shortcut here and copy this transaction and paste it right down below. But this time, I'm going to change a few things here, right? Because this is for the natural gas. Now, in this case, let's go ahead and cut that check so we can find out what check number we are looking at. So in this case, check number 1505 for another $100 to NV Utilities, but this time it's for natural gas. Okay. So in this case, we wrote check number 1505. So we can fill in. Now we reached the very, very, very end of our journal here. So that means when we start our another transaction, we will be on the new page number 2. Utilities. Proof that the transaction has occurred. So we got billed for the natural gas. In order for you to turn it on, you got to make a deposit. So in this case, we received invoice number 552. And this one is for natural gas deposit. And we wrote check number 1505. Okay. So now that I got my journal, cut the check already, I can go ahead and pop this into my ledger. Okay. So once again, we need to fill our deposit first. So right here, since we last left off was that deposit right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put in NV Utilities. Utilities, natural gas deposit. Okay. We are at the end of a page 1 for $100. So once again, since we debited another $100, right? That means we are going to increase our deposits account from $1,600 to $1,700, right? We're increasing it to the debit side. So now we are on the right side, debit, or left side, debit for $1,700. Okay. And last but not least, we need to update my checking account, right? To reflect that I made another payment on the 6th using check number 1505 on the last section of page 1 for another $100. So in this case, I'm going to go from 11,461 to 11,361, right? I spent another $100. Okay? So now that I'm done with my journal, I posted to my ledger, I also need to update that if my gas isn't turning on, the heater's not working, then I can go ahead and reissue that with Mr. NV Utilities to dispute what is going on. So in this case, right here is a natural gas deposits, and proof of the transaction is 1505 for 552. Still on page 1. And once again, this is another $100 payment that was required, right? So therefore, you can, if you've already put your formula in here, you don't need to put it in twice because you can use that fill in feature to go ahead and say, well, once again, if you had the bill outstanding for $100, you paid right then and there, so therefore you owe $0 to NV Utilities. Okay? All right. So now that we are done with page 1 of our journal here, we are now moving on to general journal page 2. So that means our references are going to change now. We have to remember that we're on page 2 now. Okay? Okay. So the next thing that we have here is going to be, we are going to do another purchase order, 17303 to Hallie Bros, okay? What we're going to do here is we're going to order a commercial coffee brewer for $2,266. And we're going to order one commercial coffee grinder for $1,249.95. So in this case, total cost is $3,515.95. A third down payment is required. So in this case, we're going to be cutting a check for $1,140.22 down payment. And it's going to be sent directly to Hallie Bros. Now, in this case, right, this is an example where I know that I am ordering something, but I haven't received the items yet. I haven't received the bill yet either, but they are requiring me to make a down payment on these items to ensure that I am going to process and purchase these items, because these items are quite the price, right? So in this case, Hallie Bros is going to require me to make a down payment to ensure the commitment of purchasing these items and not getting penalized or faulted out of it, right? So in this case, we are going to be creating a down payment, an advanced payment, which in this case, what do we use as an advanced payment? What account do we use as an advanced payment?
Your advanced payment. Was that prepaid accounts?
It's a prepaid accounts, correct, right? And how am I going to pay this $1,140?
That should go to your assets under coffee brewer.
Okay, so in this case,
It's not fully done, but it's only partial done.
Okay, but how am I going to pay for it is the question.
Checking.
You're going to pay with a check.
Uh-huh.
Right. So I'm paying a down payment, right? Which we already agreed was an accounts payable. A prepaid accounts, right?
Uh-huh.
Meaning we made a down payment. So that means Hallie Bros owes me the service, right? Promised me to give me my coffee brewer and coffee grinder. But you're right. I'm only making a partial payment on the coffee brewer and coffee grinder. I'm making a third down payment on it to ensure that when they ship me the items, they're not taking a loss out of it. And we're not going to change our mind and say, hey, I don't want it anymore. Okay, so in this case, it's going to be considered a prepaid accounts, which once they ship out and send us the bill, that prepaid accounts is going to go towards our bill because we're making a down payment, right? We're not going to get that money back. That money is going to go towards the bill. So in this case, we have to understand that we're making an advance payment. We haven't received the items yet, so we can't technically say that we're going to do a portion is going to go to the coffee brewer and the portion is going to go to coffee grinder, right? We can't say that we have them yet. So that's why we cannot utilize our fixed asset until we actually receive the items, okay? So in this case, I'm going to record it as a prepaid account, and I'm going to record it that I'm going to pay using our checking account. Okay, so that's the difference there. So in this case, today is still the 6th, right? Now, it is up to you what you want to do first. You want to fulfill the purchase order first and then fill in your journal. I think that would be definitely recommended so you have all the information in there all ready to go. So in this case, right, we're looking at purchase order number 17303. Today is the 6th. We are purchasing it. We are ordering from
Haley Brothers.
Yep. Haley Brothers, Hallie Brothers, whatever you want to refer them to. We're going to buy a commercial coffee brewer. And we're going to purchase the coffee grinder. Right? Now here, I'm not going to put in my down payment because in this case, you can't order a down payment. So that's why you have to be very careful when you're filling this out, is that this down payment is going to go towards your bill, but you can't order a down payment. So therefore, I'm not going to put that in there. But I know I'm going to order one of each, and right now the unit price is $2,266 for my brewer and $1,249.95 for my grinder. So if I do my math here, unit price times quantity, right? I should get the total amount to be the $3,515.95, which is correct. Okay? All right. So then now that I have my purchase order number, right, I'm going to go now ahead and journalize the rest of my transaction. Is that I'm making a down payment. So in this case, we're looking at a prepaid accounts, which is my advance payment. $18,600, right? And how am I paying for this down payment? I'm going to use my checking account, right? I'm going to cut them a check. Now, in what amount am I making a payment for?
The 1/3.
The 1/3, which is the 1140.22. Okay? 1140.22. So then I have all the information that I need, right? I know who I cut the check out with, or I know who I'm making the purchase order to, right? It's Hallie Bros. Now, what was the proof of transaction? I didn't receive a bill, but I do have the copy of the purchase order, which that's where they requested the 1/3 down payment from. So in this case, I have the purchase order number, right? 170303. And that's going to give me the requirement of a 1/3 down payment. So I'm going to put down pay. Okay? And what was my second proof of transaction here? Right? You could put down payment. Again, your purchase order is going to give you what the items are that you're making a down payment for. And the proof is that I wrote check number 1506, which I didn't even cut the check yet. But in this case, it would be 1506. Okay? So once again, let's cut that check. So it's 66 right now for 1506 for the 114022. Okay. To Hallie Rose. Okay, and what is this for? You could either put the purchase order number here, or you could say down payment. On brewer / grinder. Okay. Okay, so check number 1506, which I already kind of gave you the number for already. Okay. So there you go. My journal is now complete. So now I need to pop it into my ledger, because now that's going to be I need to update my accounts because I made another payment yet again. So in this case, you're able to do the same thing here. Since I'm already on my checking account, right? I'm going to go ahead and update my checking account first, since this one's pretty straightforward. 1506. This time we're on journal page 2. Okay? And I wrote another check for $11.40.22. So in this case, that means I should be decreasing my account by $1,140. So therefore, I'm going to go from $11,361 down to $10,221. Okay? And I'm also going to start updating my prepaid accounts here. So let's see, prepaid accounts. Okay, so here you go, prepaid accounts. Okay. It's up to you what you want to put here. I'm going to go ahead and put purchase order number 170303. Down pay, or 1/3 down payment. Okay. On brewer / grinder. Okay. We're on general journal page 2. and therefore we're going to increase my prepaid accounts by 1140.22. So therefore, that should increase my account up to $7,794.39. Okay, so that is increasing my prepaid accounts or advance payments that I've made to these vendors here. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to teach you how to utilize the subsidiary ledger, okay? For my subsidiary ledger, because I made a down payment, how do I fill in my subsidiary ledger? So I'm going to go ahead and locate Hallie Bros. Okay? Hallie Bros. So here's Freightline. Okay, furniture store. General Gas, Hallie Bros. Here we go. Today is the 6th. Now, what was the notes that I had to do here? I had to make a 1/3 down payment on coffee brewer and coffee grinder, right? Which I wrote a check number 1506 to be proof that I made that down payment. Now, in this case, did I ever receive a bill or an invoice?
Yeah.
No, but I do have a proof of transaction, right? That is my purchase.
Your check number.
That too, but also, how did the number get calculated? It got calculated because I had a purchase order, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, I did have proof of a transaction was that the 17,303 was the proof that I ordered my coffee brewer and coffee grinder for those amounts, and that's exactly what it came out to be. Post reference, once again, is General Journal page 2. Now again, I haven't received the bill yet, so in this case, I don't have terms yet. Now, here's the question. Where do I put this prepaid or this down payment amount in? Which column do I do? In this case, right, we know for a fact that we made a payment, right? We made a payment for the $11.40.22, right? Now, in this case, if I did my formula once again as my invoice amount minus my prepaid, minus my returns, minus discounts, minus payments, it says that Hallie Bros owes me $11.40.22. Is that true?
Right now.
Well, is that true in terms of it go ahead.
We still owe them because it's just a down payment.
Correct. In this case, we don't owe them $11.40.22 because this is just a down payment that's going to go towards my bill. So in this case, how do we make this statement true? Do I owe Hallie Bros money? Yes, I do. However, this is just a down payment. I haven't received the bill yet to let me know how much I owe, but they certainly do not owe me money, right? Because that money is going to be used towards the bill, right? Now, okay, so then let's not put it there, okay? Okay? So then let's put it into prepaid amounts. $11.40.22. Now, because this subtracts from the invoice amount, once again, I'm still at a negative $11.40.22. Is that statement true? Does Hallie Bros owe me money?
No.
No. So in this case, right, how do I make this statement work for me for this formula to work for me? Now, go ahead.
Do you have to enter the invoice amount?
Do you, or is that a question?
I'm asking you. That is a question.
Okay, so in this case, what was the proof of transaction to get you to that $11.40.22?
The check.
The check.
The check, that is proof that you made a payment for that, right?
Uh-huh. Now, that's it. You don't have an invoice number. Okay.
Well, in this case, yes, you don't.
You have a purchase order number, but you don't have an invoice number.
You have a purchase order number, right? That purchase order was the reason you had to pay that $1140.22, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, right, basically this is saying that this purchase order told you that you had to pay $1140.22, right?
Okay.
And because you did make the payment with a check 1506, therefore now the statement is true, okay? Because the purchase order told you that you owed this much amount and you made a payment. So therefore now the statement is true because one, do you owe Hallie Bros money?
Yes.
Not yet.
Not right now.
Exactly. Not yet. We haven't received the bill yet. And does Hallie Bros owe me money?
No.
No, not yet because nothing has been done except for you cutting the check. So when we received our bill, that's where I'm going to show you how to apply that down payment. So in this case, this statement holds true because this formula, right, needs to be universal for every single vendor transaction you have here. You can't make a different formula for every different transaction, right? That would defeat the purpose of why we have this worksheet, right? Everything has to be uniform. So in this case, this is your proof of transaction and you made a payment. So therefore, this statement is true. You don't owe anything to Hallie Bros as of now because you haven't received the bill. And right now, they don't owe you anything either because, again, on their books, you don't care for what's on their books. You care what's on your books, meaning that you made a payment for what you were required to pay. That's all you care about. You don't care about whether they owe you money or not. Okay? So in this case, that is the formula that I need to do. So then when I do receive the bill, right, I'll show you how to apply that down payment afterwards. Okay? So good. Now that I got my transaction through my subsidiary ledger, let's go ahead and compute the next transaction. Okay? All right, because we did the journal, the ledger, and the subsidiary ledger. Okay. So let's take a look at what happened here. So we're still on the 6th. Okay. So it says here that we end up purchasing from restaurant supplies. Okay. We end up buying on an account. And you financed it for 12 months with 0 APR. Okay. And of course, payments after the 12-month holding period will be subjected to an 18% interest. So in this case, right, what did you purchase from restaurant supplies?
A cash register?
You purchased a cash register on an account and you financed it with 12 easy monthly payments. And here's the deal. You are not required to pay everything in full because you have that 0 APR grace period, meaning you're not obligated to pay right away. You can choose after 18 months for you to make the first payment, or 12 months, to make the next payment. But in this case, right, you're going to be subjected to an 18% interest. So in this case, right, how much was my register for?
$649.49.
Okay, $649.49. Now, good, that's the total, right? Because we are buying another fixed asset, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, that is the price of my cash register. Now, do I have a cash register in my chart of accounts?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. Right? Right here. Oh, I missed it. Right here, cash register, $14.50. Okay? Now, how did I pay for this?
accounts payable.
Okay, so in this case, so accounts payable is when you have a bill, but in this case, I financed it. What makes a financing?
So is it Visa payable then?
Do we have our business credit card?
Oh, no, it's accounts payable. Yes, you do, but you're not paying it with that, are you?
Did I receive my credit card yet?
No.
No. Now, what difference does it make between an accounts payable and a notes payable?
Would notes payable be on something that's more like from a person instead of a business?
Yes and no. A notes payable is when you promise something, but notes payable is usually when you make a promise to a company or a person, doesn't matter who, but you have the ability to defer payments, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not obligated to pay within the 12 months.
No, you're not.
Because in this case, they said you have a 12 months with 0 APR, so are you obligated to pay right away?
No.
No. But if you start making payments, go ahead.
So that's why it would be a notes payable instead of accounts payable, because it's not required.
Correct. In this case, remember, back in chapter 1, or chapter 2, excuse me, we talked about the difference between an accounts payable and a notes payable. A notes payable, they basically are the same thing where you owe people money. However, a notes payable is a straight promise to pay back a person a fixed amount, or they are making a compromise where they say, hey, I promise to pay you back, but I'll pay you in increments. So in this case, this notes payable is in terms of the ability to negotiate and including defer payments. You can always call them and say, I'm sorry, this week I'm struggling. Can I make another payment for the following month? Can I defer my payments? That's the ability of a notes payable versus an accounts payable. You have a strict deadline and you have to pay back within the X amount of days that the terms is given, right? Notes payable is a flexible system where you have the ability to defer payment. So in this case, a notes payable is usually typical of when you're making a fixed payment plan. So again, this would definitely be a notes payable versus an accounts payable situation. Right? So in this case, yes, we purchased the cash register on a notes payable for $23,000. So therefore, let's go ahead and plug it into our journal, right? Because in this case, we actually went to Restaurant Supplies and actually acquired the cash register right then and there, okay? And we opened up an account with Restaurant Supplies, and we decided to say, hey, let's go ahead and do a payment plan. So in this case, right, we purchase our fixed asset, the cash register, okay, $14.50, and a notes payable, which we said was a liability because now we owe Restaurant Supplies money, right? Okay, accounts payable for $23,000, I believe. Okay, now how much do I owe Restaurant Supplies?
$649.49.
And that is exactly how much my cash register is worth. So in this case, we've already included the sales tax because that's part of the price of the cost of an asset, right? So in this case, $599.99 plus $49.50 will give you your $649.49. Okay? Awesome. So in this case, we have every piece of information that we need to put our description, right? We made a purchase to, or we bought our register from Restaurant Supplies. right? It's up to you if you want to put your account information here. It's unnecessary because you could do that in the actual subsidiary ledger, okay? But you can go ahead and put in that you paid on an account. You could finance it for 12 months, whatever you want to put here. But you just want to make sure that you have the proof of transaction here, which is the sales receipt number, right? Okay, sales receipt number 001487. Okay, and it's up to you what you want to put here. If you want to put disclose that you have the 12-month financing thing or not, it's up to you, but I'm going to go ahead and just put on an account. Okay, I'm not going to put the account number because, again, this is your journal. You don't necessarily need to disclose that information in your journal. You could disclose it into your actual subsidiary ledger. Okay? Okay. So now that I have my journal done, next thing I gotta do is post it to my ledger. So in this case, I purchased an asset. Okay? Okay, here's my cash register. Right? I purchased this cash register for $599.99 plus 8.25% tax, which yield me $49.50. We're on our second page of journal here, and I acquired it for $649.49. Okay, so therefore, I now have a debit balance of my cash register with a total cost of $649.49. Okay. Now, I need to now update my liabilities. So this is the first liability that we have acquired. So in this case, accounts payable, Visa payable, notes payable, okay? So this is where you can also put in your description here of why you have a notes payable. So in this case, you could go ahead and say financed 12 months on cash register. Okay, that should be good enough in terms of putting description there because, again, you can put all that extra information in your subsidiary ledger. Okay, post reference once again is your second journal, and this time I'm going to be using my credit balance, right? Because I have a credit balance for $649.49. So in this case, right, I need to be very careful which columns I'm using. So therefore, I should have a credit balance because if I'm at 0 and I am increasing on the credit side, I need to also make sure I'm on the correct credit side for the account balance here for $649.49. Okay? Okay. So now that I got my journal posted to my ledger, so now I'm going to go ahead and disclose all the information that I need to have on my subsidiary ledger. Okay, to restaurant supplies. Okay. Oops, I missed it. Restaurant supplies. Right here, Restaurant Supplies Incorporated. So today is the 6th. Okay. Information I need to disclose is going to be that I financed that I purchased a cash register. Okay, on a cash register, which I financed it for 12 months. Okay, 0% APR. Okay, if not, I will be charged 18% APR interest after 12 months. Okay, on account number, let's see what my account number is here. On account number 569812. 569812. Okay. And invoice number, in this case, I have a sales receipt number, right? Because I purchased it in store. For 001487. Okay. Post reference, once again, is going to be General Journal page 2. Okay. Now, in this case, did I receive terms? In this case, no, because I haven't received my first bill yet in terms of how much I need to make a payment for. But I did make a purchase in store. So in this case, no terms are necessary until we receive our first bill. Okay? But I do know this for a fact that I now owe on this amount, right, on this account, $649.49. And I haven't made a payment yet. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and create my first liability here, saying that I owe restaurant supplies $649.49, which is true, right? I still owe them on an account, and I have yet to make my monthly payments. Okay? So that means, okay, so in this gray down below, if you don't have it set up already, this is just an equal sum to let you know how much money you owe a particular vendor. Okay, so in this case, I owe $649.49 to restaurant supplies. So what you're going to notice here is that this grand total is going to basically sum up all of the invoices that you owe a particular vendor, right? In this case right here, I owe this one section here, but every time we make a payment, you'll see as we progress through the scenario, how does payments affect my subsidiary ledger, okay? And we'll eventually understand how I want you to use the subsidiary ledger slowly, okay? So right now, I'm just entering in what I owe, and this is how much I owe for this particular invoice right here, or in this case, the sales receipt, okay? So I know for a fact that I owe on an account, okay? Okay. And that should be it for that transaction there, okay? Okay. Let's see. So now it is finally Friday, June 7th. And here we decided to hire LV Remodeling Company to remodel our store area. So in this case, is this a transaction that we need to record?
It's just an invoice.
Well,
so that's what you're going to record.
Well, in this case, I just hired them. I'm not on the second part yet.
Oh, okay.
So I'm on hiring the LV Remodeling Company to remodel the store.
No, that's the same as like when you hired Kim Robinson. You don't have to.
No. But you have to keep in mind. You do have to keep in mind. Someone's going to be doing a job. So therefore, I should be looking forward from a bill. Okay, so in this case, that's just something to keep in mind. That I hired LV Remodeling to do some work at the store, but they haven't scheduled, right, with me when it's going to be completed. They haven't billed me. They haven't done anything yet, right? All I did was simply hire them for the job. Okay? So that's that one there. Okay? So then now, after that, I end up receiving a bill from Miss Kim Robinson. So in this case, Miss received Kim Robinson's recommendation and bill. So this is what she billed me, right? She billed me that she did some interior design consulting. Right here is the date that she issued this bill to me on the 7th of June. The due date's going to be the 10th of June. Invoice number 1542. Right, she did some interior design consultation recommendations for $1,000. So in this case, the amount due here is $1,000. Now for this case, I'm going to tell you right now, okay? Right now, I'm not going to pay Kim Robinson because right now, what if I have other priorities or other things that I need to pay for in order to get my, business get set up and ready for the store. In this case, for most occasions, for many businesses, you definitely want to hold off on your bills especially when you're setting up your business, because right now, I'm going to take advantage of every terms as possible, right? If I'm going to be sent a bill and I have X amount of days to pay it back, I'm going to take advantage of that because right now I have exactly $10,000 in my bank. Is this $1,000? Can it hurt my business? Yes, it can if I pay it right now, because what if I need to buy something for $1,000 right now to get my business set up? So in this case, I'm going to take advantage of the time that Kim Robinson is going to allow me to owe her for. So in this case, I'm just going to simply record the bill and keep in mind that I need to make a payment to Kim Robinson, not today, but later. So in this case, what am I generating here? If I'm going to be recording a bill, what am I doing here?
A subsidiary ledger entry.
Not yet.
You're just generating an invoice.
Correct. Is this a transaction I'm going to be journalizing is the question.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, because Kim Robinson already completed the job. And she's sending you the bill. So in this case, yes, a transaction has occurred. But here's what you're choosing to do. You're choosing to pay later. So if you're choosing to pay later, what are you creating?
An accounts payable.
You're creating a liability, which is an accounts payable. So in this case, yes, I am going to be issuing an accounts payable. Okay? Now, because it's due in how many days?
Well, 7 to that's 3 days.
You only owe 3 days. So in this case, it's an accounts payable for sure because you only have 3 days to pay it, right? Now, if I'm going to be owing this amount, what am I coding this interior design consultation? What am I going to code that as? Okay?
An expense?
It will definitely be an expense because is it an asset that I acquired?
No.
No.
Is it, and then we already said we're going to owe the money. Is it an equity that we put into our business? No. Is it revenue that we generated?
No.
No. So in this case, the only option we have here is an expense. Now, how do we determine which expense we're going to be using? We can go through the list and determine. Is this an advertising expense?
No.
No, right? You didn't pay Kim to do anything except for, she's not advertising for you. Is this a bank fee?
No.
Is this a business expense?
I would say yes.
Okay, so that's potential, but let's see if there's any other account that could fit it better. Okay.
Maybe the subcontractor expense.
Okay. Is this a freight expense? No. Insurance expense? No. Interest expense? Labor expense? No. So is it subcontractor? Now, in this case, did we hire her to do any work?
We hired her.
But did
But
she
would she
do
be like
work?
a 10-9? Yeah, she didn't do any work. Well, she did. She did consulting.
Is that
don't you call that?
is that physical labor?
No.
No. So remember, this is a labor expense. If we hired someone to do a job, like to actually complete a job,
So subcontractor would be a labor expense? Because I didn't say it was labor expense.
yes. So in this case, remember,
But it's a subcontractor expense then, right?
okay. So in earlier,
it's a labor expense because we did hire her,
okay,
right?
labor. So notice this: labor expense is in capital letters.
Yeah.
That's because that's a main account.
Okay.
Anything that's underneath it, as you could see, is in lowercase, is a sub account. Correct. Now, in this case, now you're kind of going back and forth. Did we actually hire her to do an actual physical labor job?
No.
No.
So it's business.
Okay, so we're looking at business seems to be more correct here, right? Let's go ahead and just go through all of them. Is this a license and permit? No. Is it a loss? Is this an office supplies expense? Payroll? She's definitely not working for us, right? Our main core of operations isn't to do interior designing, is it?
No.
No, so you definitely wouldn't put her on the payroll.
Okay, so let me go back on here, because if I'm looking at it right, it says you hired for an interior design consultant, but she's not one of our employees. You just hired her. I got it. Okay, now it clicked, because I had to go back and actually see that to see that she was the interior design consultant. She wasn't one of our people.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Correct, because again, our job is to sell coffee. We're a coffee shop, right? Why would you hire an interior design consultant?
Yeah,
right?
I got it. That's why it had to click.
Got it. So in this case, so definitely not payroll. We definitely didn't purchase inventory. This isn't rent. This isn't travel. This isn't utilities. This isn't bad debt, depreciation, or amortization. So in this case, business expense would definitely would be the most likely account. And that will be correct, right? This is definitely a business expense that you had to pay for to get the shop the way you want it to look. So in this case, yes, they are a simple mere business expense. So in this case, business expense, $6,200. Okay. So general journal, right? We recognize that this was a business expense that Miss Kim Robinson has done. So 60, I already forgot the number.
60200.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And, right? And because this expense had occurred, we have the option. Are we going to pay now or are we going to pay later? In this case, we chose to pay later. So therefore, since we chose to pay later, it's an accounts payable. Okay? So therefore, that was $20,000. Now, how much did Miss Kim Robinson bill us for?
$1,000.
$1,000. Okay? Okay? And we have everything that we need to know, right? Because we know who we received this bill from, right? It's Miss Kim Robinson. Okay? What was the proof of transaction?
Invoice.
The invoice was the proof that Kim did work for us, right? She did some consultant. Okay? And, okay, so in this case, yes, we got it. Now, do you need to disclose what it is? It's up to you. I'm going to put interior design consulting. Okay? And how many days is this bill due in?
Well, it's due. You can put 610. Due 610.
You could do date, or in this case, when we talk about terms, what do we
3
normally?
days.
We see net 3. Good.
Net 3.
Yes. Right? Net 3. Okay. So good. Right? We have everything that we need to know. We know who billed us. We know what she billed us for, and we know the amount, and so on and so forth. Okay? And we know when it's due. Okay? So therefore, now I can go ahead and move on to my ledger. Okay? So my ledger is going to be that we have an expense, right? We did some business expenses. Okay, here's a business expense. On the 7th, we got some interior design consultation. Okay. General Journal, page 2, for $1,000. So therefore, I have the expense for $1,000. Okay. Okay. And last but not least, since I created a liability, I need to go ahead and plug in my liabilities for my accounts payable. Okay. Now in this case, I'm going to make it really sweet and simple here. Instead of putting all that information, interior design, consultation, Kim Robinson, I'm just going to go ahead and put the invoice number, because that's going to tell me pretty much enough information about this transaction, right? That this is the bill that I received, was invoice number 1542. Okay, so if I pull up that information, I'm able to see that I received a bill from Ms. Kim Robinson, okay, and that she did some interior design consulting, okay, and that when the bill is due, and so on and so forth, right? You can get all the information just like that through the invoice number. Now remember, our subsidiary ledger also shows us a column for our invoice number, so we're able to also look that up as well if we don't know who this invoice number comes from, right? You'll be able to look at that column and look through the invoice number to find the exact invoice number that matches this one. So in this case, this is a great reference point to show you who you owe. Okay, post reference, once again, page 2. And this time, because it's a liability, we owe, right? Because we're going to credit our liabilities because now we owe money, right? So therefore, my account balance for my accounts payable account is now $1,000. Okay? Now again, when we look at doing the normal balance for this one, the equation is going to be slightly different. It's not going to be the same that we've been doing earlier, right? It's going to be slightly different, but I'll show you when we do our second liability account, okay, on what that formula is. But right now, after that first transaction here, I have a current credit balance in the accounts payable for $1,000, okay? So again, I posted from the journal to the ledger. So now I need to update my subsidiary ledger. Okay. So again, it should be the one right above it, Miss Kim Robinson. Or actually, sorry, one below it, Robinson Kim. Okay. Today is the 7th. Now the notes here is you got interior design consultation. Okay. Yeah, that's all she did for us. Okay. We had nothing else. What was the proof of transaction? It was invoice number 1542. Post reference, once again, is journal page 2. Now, were we given terms?
1542.
Were we given terms?
1542. Yes,
Uh,
the 3 days.
net.
Yes,
Net
net.
10.
Oh, no, net 3. You were right.
Net 3.
Net 3. Okay. So this case, right? So what do I know about the due date? Okay. There's obviously no discount. She didn't give me any discounts here because she just strictly said, you have 3 days to pay me. Okay. No, she did not offer any discounts to us. So therefore, no need for a discount due date. However, we do know that we are given 3 days. So whether you want to manually type in the days here or with Excel, you have the ability to type in a formula to go ahead and get you the most accurate date. Because sometimes, you know, us as humans, right, we sometimes we miscalculate and put the wrong date in here. So in this case, here's a formula you can do. You could go ahead and do equal. Since the bill was given to us on the 7th, right? I can click on this cell where it says June 7, which is a date. It's an actual date. And I'm going to add 3 days because I know it's due in 3 days, right? Now, in this case, on the bill, it already tells me that it's due June 10. So in this case, I could have just simply put in June 10. But because I wanted to make sure that 3 days from the 7th is June 10, I decided to do this formula right here. And then if I go ahead and click enter, it tells me it's June 10. Okay? So for those of you that when we are doing, for example, you receive a bill and it's on June 27 or June something like that, and you can't calculate 15 days from now, you could use this formula to get you the most accurate, and it does take into consideration that June only has 30 days. So it does look on an actual calendar and tells you what 15 days is after you receive that bill. So that is the cool, unique thing about this bill is when you receive a term and you're not given an exact due date, you are able to manually calculate it by putting the date in and adding X amount of days that the bill is due, and you'll get the accurate date, okay? So if you're having trouble trying to figure it out on a calendar, there you go, okay? So it's due on June 10, right? And how much was the invoice amount for?
$1,000.
$1,000, and of course, you have yet to pay. So in this case, formula is going to be invoice amount minus prepaid minus returns minus discounts minus payments. So right now, you owe Miss Kim Robinson $1,000. And I'm going to go ahead and activate this this sum equals sum total right here that you owe a grand total of $1,000 to Miss Kim Robinson. Okay? And we know for a fact it's due in 3 days, which is going to be on June 10. So any way that you want to keep a track of it, whether you want to put in, so if you actually took the Excel class, the advanced Excel class, there are ways that you can manipulate this worksheet to get to flag you down by color coding it if you put a condition, right? But in this case, this isn't advanced Excel. I want you to just do the basics as much as you can and just be mindful in keeping track of your own vendors, the money that you owe other people, okay? By simply looking at the due dates, right? That's all you have to do. So right now, I don't owe anybody anything except for Kim Robinson, which is due on June 10. But yes, if you know how to do it, go ahead and set that condition so then it can flag you down when that date is arriving. But then again, if you were to do that, you need to also set up a today date formula. Okay, so then when you open up your Excel spreadsheet, right, it's looking at the day that you do that. But remember, we're looking at a transaction that happened in the past, right? So in this case, that's also one thing that you have to also be mindful of is it's going to take into consideration of today's date. It's going to flag you on everything, right? But if you set up a condition, then you're able to see those, you know, bills that get flagged, okay? So there you go. I entered in my first bill. So in this case, for Miss Kim Robinson, we owe her $1,000. Okay, I lost the bill already. Right here, $1,000 to Miss Kim Robinson. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Not for me.
Okay. So it is about 4:30 and this is perfect, right? That means we're going to stop here for today and continue the rest of this tomorrow, okay? And then we are most likely going to be looking at our balance sheets tomorrow, or trial balance, excuse me, not balance sheet, trial balance tomorrow. So again, we're going to be looking at another spreadsheet and I'm going to show you how to compute the trial balance for week 1, okay? And other than that,